slightly different. Basically, I was trying to think about different things which I can do on the channel, and obviously so far the kind of things which I've done, and essentially I kind of see the channel as an extension of anything which I think about or I'm interested in or I care about or I find amusing or thought-provoking. And so I've so far talked about videos which are to do with self or challenging emotions, so on and so forth. And I wanted to do like a playlist of essentially me going through a deck of tarot cards, which is this thing here. And tarot cards, I don't really know the historical context of them. I have no idea what they are. I just had a friend who was kind of into these, and she introduced me to them. And I had a first deck which was really good at the start, and I kind of threw that away for whatever reason. And then basically I got another deck, and this deck is a lot more different. It's essentially, I don't know, it's like the pictures on it don't really give that much away. Like the imagery on it is like quite blank, and therefore it's like quite hard to read from it. But anyway, this is the deck I have now. It's the Rider Waite deck. Wait, let me just get that. So it's this thing here, and yeah, I don't know if you can see that. I think this is the one which most people use. So basically, like what I'm gonna do in this series is essentially, I don't know if I'm gonna be doing an intro for every single one, like this, which introduces what tarot cards are, blah blah, for every single video. But because this is the first one, I'm gonna do that. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna kind of be weird and use my intuition to just like pick out a card, because when you're doing someone's reading, that's what you do. And or you can pick out multiple cards, but I'm just gonna pick one out, and then I'll just save whatever comes into my mind, and I might kind of go into like a meditative kind of, I suppose, state, state, as I'm kind of picking it. So that might be a bit weird, but I'll go ahead and do that. And then yeah, I'll just say whatever I think about the card, and I think I'll just do it for every single one. And yeah, you will have like this series where I'm kind of offering musings on every single tarot card, and I think that might be quite an interesting little playlist to have on my channel, just because I think this is quite interesting. So without further ado, sorry for rambling, I'm going to begin my first tarot card read. So I'm just gonna get into it, and I might go into like a meditative phase or whatever, but that's fine. This is just how I'm gonna kind of roll with it. So okay, so like generally, like the thing is, I kind of just try to sense whatever, I like try to feel my emotions very deeply, and then I just kind of try to sense whatever it is that I could kind of feel like I need to pick. So okay, so now my intuition is telling me to pick a card, and it just generally just feels like a heaviness, and then it kind of lifts, and that's when I kind of like, so like an emotional heaviness, I experience that for a bit, and then it kind of lifts, and then I can just kind of sense something which I need to kind of pick. So I've dropped some cards. Okay, that's fine. Alright, yeah, I've got a card, it's fine. Alright, I've got a card. I've dropped some cards, but that's fine. I've picked a card. Oh wow, okay. So the card which has come up is the Sun. That's really interesting. I'm just gonna check if the recording is still happening, so just give me a moment. It's happening. Okay, I haven't run out of battery or anything like that. So the card which has come up is the Sun. That's immensely meaningful to me right now, because I kind of feel like, and this is where like my belief kind of comes in every time I do it, like I don't know, it comes in, and I just like running that and then just seeing what happens. So I think to me this card is deeply meaningful, because for the last couple of months I've been really struggling, and I guess I'm just going to talk about myself, this is what's happening. So for the last couple of months I've just been really struggling. I've been really struggling expressing who I am, and like this is something which I've always struggled with, but the last couple of months it just became so massive inside of me, you know. And so I was just really struggling with that, and I think one of the reasons I wanted to start this channel was so I can start doing that, where like I felt that whatever is in me, there's some aspect of me which just wants to kind of shine through or come out. It just wasn't happening, and so as a result, I kind of started this channel, and I've kind of tried to almost reconnect with myself in some way, and this has been helping me do that so much. And so I think to me this card basically represents that this is the God or the universe basically saying to me, I know how bullshit that sounds, by the way, but this is just my subjective experience, okay? I'm not saying this is actually happening. So this card to me represents that it's okay to, I guess you could say that it's my higher self telling me that it's okay to keep shining through, you know. I mean, what's really interesting with this card is that there's a sun, and I think that's like the emblem of that God self shining through us. And the God self, from my perspective, is the aspect of ourself which is just our pure potentiality, you know, expressing itself. That's what it means to me. And so I think this is what the sun represents. And then you have this kid who's so happy. I mean, there's sunflowers and stuff in the background, and then you have this kid who's so immensely happy. Look at this kid. Look at how happy this kid is. I don't know. If you can find it, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was, I've never really done this before. So if you see this kid is so happy, and he's just like this, and he's like sitting on a horse, doesn't give a shit, no worries in the world. And I think there's an element of when the sun is shining through, the human aspect of us, which is kind of just there, is just free. It's completely, I suppose, naked, innocent, childlike, you know. And there's something profound, which is pure potentiality shining through. And the horse, which is quite interesting to me, I think is an aspect of us which I would say which is our ego, because the horse doesn't look very happy in this. I don't know, these cards are like not done that well, so I guess if I got a more expensive version of the same deck, maybe I'll see a better picture of it. But the horse looks a bit grumpy, to be honest with you. If you look at this horse, the horse looks kind of grumpy. And I think to me the horse basically represents the ego, and the ego for me is not like this arrogant thing. The ego for me is anything which makes us feel that we are above or below anyone else, basically. So for me, as I was kind of like I was just making general notes before I make like this video, just like I make notes just so I have certain ideas when I'm kind of ranting and raving. So like for me, sorry, I'm just gonna check recording again, just sorry. Yeah, so I keep getting paranoid that the battery's gonna run out. So, for me, the horse is basically ego, and ego to me is something, anything which seems larger or smaller than what we are. So whenever we think we're larger than or smaller than anyone else, or in general, I think that to me represents ego. So it's not just arrogance, it's something deeper than that. It's anything which makes us feel higher or lower than anyone else. And so for me, as I was saying, the notes which I've been making is the biggest thing which I've struggled with when it comes to like being, it is not me thinking I'm above other people, but rather thinking I'm less than other people. And I think that is also an aspect of ego, you know, because if you feel that you're below someone, then there is an element of self with there, which is like kind of tense, it's clenched. And it's so deeply integral to my kind of core self. Like if I, through like I suppose meditative process, just sit with myself and just track all the different thoughts I'm having, often they end up at this deep core aspect of self, which is profoundly inadequate. And right next to it is this aspect of myself which wants to help people and serve people and like do something which is going to make a difference in the world, but just doing it for the sake of doing it. Like it's just such pure potentiality and intention and innocent, you know, and so deeply sincere that, but right next to it is this sense that I'm deeply, deeply, deeply inadequate, to the point that I feel depressed, and to the point that I've had really strong suicidal thoughts in the past as a result of feeling this way, you know. And so, and that's heavy, but that's the truth. And I think there's an element of ego that is what I would call what ego is, you know. And to me, this card represents this baby self which is on top of the ego and is just completely free. And the ego is still there, You have not let go of the ego, but the ego is no longer the master. The ego is this tool which you're using to function in the world, to ride the world, basically. And there you are, and you are just free, and you're just letting go. And behind you, your pure potentiality is shining through. And to me, I think this card is essentially representative of a way of being in the world, you know? Like, it kind of represents that... I guess it kind of represents that our human self is both the ego and our pure potentiality, which is our deepest, sincerest desire. And when we marry the two, when we accept the two, but we no longer define ourselves purely by the ego alone, because I think the ego, which is our constructed self, coupled with our neuroses and all sorts of other things, when we no longer are driven by that, we use that as a tool to function in the world, and we're on top of that, and we're innocent, and that's the thing which is driving. And then behind that, there's that potentiality shining through. The sun represents the fact that when the ego has been accepted, I kind of feel like I'm running now. The ego has been accepted, the child, our innocent self, is integrated with that, but is in the lead of that, meaning that we have fully accepted our deepest, sincerest, innocent self. We've accepted it, we've understood it, we're not running away from it, we're not letting the ego put it down, because how many times is it that your deepest and sincerest self is put down by that egoic voice in your head? The two are there. We're not killing the ego, we're not pushing the ego, we're just sitting on it, and we're letting it be, and through doing that, we're letting ourselves be as well. And as we do that, the sun shines in the background and is pure potentiality. And so I think it's a beautiful thing that this card has come up, and this is the first thing which has come up. I think, to me, it represents that this was the right thing to do. I feel energetically that it is the right thing to do. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's a bit different, but I think it was quite interesting, and it was just something to prompt my thoughts. And I will see you guys next time.